This thing is absolutely filthy. It's time for a little bit of a detail, wouldn't you guys say? Ugh. As you guys can probably see right in the back, maybe, well, I don't know. We got a bucket, some cleaning supplies. Gonna need to put gas in this car too. Oh yeah, we got our work put out for ourselves. I was wondering if that guy on the bike was actually gonna go right through. All right. Now it is time to clean a disgusting Golf R. Yeah, so here's everything we're working with. We got a little tripod. I'll set up the camera and we'll get some good cleaning shots. And that right there, folks, is a, well, cleaner looking Golf R. I know, it's probably not perfectly clean, and I could probably name a few things that look disgusting. To start, the tires are pretty gross. They need some new dressing. I'm sure there's probably plenty of water spots all over the car. So anyway, I'm going to talk to you guys briefly about what my plans are for this car. There's been a few people, you know, right around the corner, or I should say, I should start it off like this. There's been a few people who have reached out to me because they've maybe seen an Instagram live where I've talked about it. Maybe I talked about it in a video. I know I've probably been pretty darn unclear as my plans. Am I going to be selling this car for the Mark 8R? And right now, I'm going to say probably not, given that I keep kind of impulsively purchasing mods for this car. I want to do more things to this. I think there's a lot of potential in this car. There's a lot that's unknown about the Mark 8R. I know they're quieter. I personally like a little bit of noise. I'm not going for that ricer noise, but I know if I wanted to throw an exhaust on the Mark 8R, it's only gonna be a slight difference. And, you know, tunes, downpipes, all that stuff is kind of questionable if that's gonna be available for this newer car. I know the EPA is really striking on these newer and, you know, tuner companies. Unfortunately, I just don't know, and it's hard to tell just from a content creator standpoint what the future is for the Volkswagen Golf R, and of course that being the Mark 8. I love this car. I can't say a single thing that I dislike about this car. The 7-speed has been way better than my old 6-speed DSG. It drives perfectly. Gas mileage, if you really try, can be good. It can be really, really good. And overall, running costs, not too bad. I will, of course, do a 1-year overview because, believe it or not, it's been 1 year of ownership with this car. Hard to comprehend that, but I've owned this car for a year now, and I can definitely say, just from my ownership experience, there are a lot of things to like about this car, and there's, you know, ownership wise, it's not that expensive. I want to be extremely blunt with you guys and just say I will be probably considering a JB4 in the not too distant future. Anyway, without further ado, I want to talk to you guys about my plans for this car. So right off the bat, I do want to say I have an APR inlet pipe that I'm about to install onto the car. I haven't decided when I want to do that, but probably one of these days I'll slap that in. It's not my favorite install, but I will get that done, and it's going to make the car look great. As you guys can see, we're kind of on a monster truck stance right now. So the plan is to lower the car. I know I've been saying that for the longest time ever, but I just keep having these new, you know, issues, and just, you know, not related to the car, but just monetary wise. So I'm trying to be a little bit responsible. I start my real-time job hopefully soon, so we'll be able to have a little bit more income and more ability to afford some of these things. So the low that I want to go for is probably a VWR low, so I will start shopping around for those lowering springs, and I think that'll look really, really good on this car. Just low enough, but not necessarily tucking. And I'd like to do spacers. I want your guys' input for spacers, because I'm not really familiar with spacers. I've never really done them before, but I don't want to poke. I want to be just slightly in, so I think that would probably be a maybe 10 millimeter front, 15 rear. And that might be a little bit aggressive, I'm not sure, but let me know. I want to know all of your guys' feedback. Now, as we move on to the back, the newest mod, as you guys can see, are the Euro tails. I want to, if I can, do the harness. The harness is probably not my favorite modification and not my favorite install to do. I don't know if I'll film it. It's just that tedious, and that, honestly, it makes me so angry. I'll be completely blunt. I hate doing it, but essentially you have to wire the inner to the outer. I've done it on my GTI before, and the coating is the easiest part. We'll just say it that way. So yeah. And then of course what I'd like to do is a little bit more aesthetic stuff. So kind of focusing on the rear, of course, I want to do a rear diffuser. I'm really loving that ECS diffuser. Kayla Colbin, check her out on YouTube. She did an install, and I saw that on her pre-facelift car, and I fell in love with it. So I'd like to slap that on this thing, make it's kind of pokes out a little bit more. It's more jagged edges, and it has some really cool slats kind of down the center. Very similar to what the Maxton looks like, but in fact, instead of just being a bolt-on, it's a full replacement for this glossy one that I currently have on the car, which, you know, honestly doesn't look too bad, but I want something to really complement these 4-inch Remus exhaust tips. Now, on the topic of Remus, I will consider doing a downpipe for this car. I need to talk to my dealer and see if that would void my warranty. It may not, and some dealers probably will tell you guys different things. I've heard a lot of different things, but I want to potentially, if I were to go that route, reach out to Remus and see if I can swap out these exhaust tips, because I'm not a huge fan of them. I think they look cool and they look really race car, but I don't think that's the vibe I was going for this car, so I'll probably swap those out if I can. And what else? I also want to do a rear spoiler to the car. I could go the same route as I did before and do Maxton and then do the gloss black. Again, I'm not a huge fan of carbon. I never really liked carbon, especially when you kind of already have another theme on the car. As you guys can see, we have gloss black, and I think if you do carbon, you have to do everything in carbon. So that'd be mirror caps, you know, obviously diffuser and trim, and it's just, I think it's overkill. And for this type of car, especially because I have window tints, the gloss black just complements the blue, and I'll probably go gloss black if I do that. So I'm thinking about potentially doing the Maxton spoiler again, but we'll see. I want to hear you guys' input, of course, on that. So yes, and of course you guys are probably wondering, I won't swap out my wheels anytime soon. I'd like to lower it and then do the spacers, and then maybe down the road, if I decide to keep this car a little bit longer, I'll probably swap out the wheels for maybe something a little bit more aggressive. These are really lightweight, these Pretorias, and I'm on Continental DWS 06s, and they're a great tire. And I'll do a review on these really shortly, so stay tuned for that. Now, on the interior, one of the things that I really want to do, I'd like to do replacement paddle shifters, potentially, maybe. I'd like to swap out my DSG shift knob. A P3 boost gauge would be awesome, and I'd like to potentially swap out my steering wheel, because this is a great steering wheel, but I like to kind of pizzazz up the interior, and I'd love to do carbon. I think my ideal setup would be maybe perforated leather on this side handle right here, and the lower section maybe in a forged carbon with a blue, like a lapis blue flake in it. I think that would look really cool. So that's kind of my plans for the interior. I'll leave the seats as they are. I think they're really great seats. And going to the front of the car. Now this is one thing that I'm like really thinking about. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't know if I should do a front lip or not. I don't love drilling to the car, and front lips are really annoying to install in my opinion. If I could, I'd love to be able to just take off the bumper, but the issue is I have all the sensors and it's just a lot of work. Fortunately, I don't have headlight washers. I think those are absolutely useless, but I'm not sure what I want to do. Potentially, if I do decide to go a full race car route and I really want to spend the money, I might swap out the hood for a carbon hood. I don't really want to do crazy vents. Maybe what I would do is get a carbon hood, and if it does have vents, paint the hood lapis blue, hopefully it color matches of course, and leave the vents kind of that carbon look. I'm not sure. I'd love to hear some input. What else do I want to talk about? I think that's pretty much that as far as aesthetics. I guess minor things, maybe wrap the roof black. I think that looks really cool. It's a nice contrast. And oh yes, one thing I also want to talk about too is I ended up buying the USP side markers, the dynamic swoop. They were in smoke, and I purchased them with the Euro tails, and funny enough, they didn't work and they really didn't install correctly at all. In fact, when I installed them, they fit perfectly. However, I went to go turn on the I guess the indicator or the hazards, and it completely shorted the system, and it didn't blow a fuse, it just shorted it. And I read apparently that's an issue with the 2019 Golf R, so go figure. But I don't know if I'm able to do that mod at all, but I really want to, because I want to get rid of that lighter look. I think it'd look really cool if it had that dynamic swoop as well. So that's definitely something that I'm considering, and if you guys have any input, please let me know. But I think that is that as far as plans go. I also, before I forget, I have a lot of cool ideas in the works, and actually I'm working with a company that makes braces. So I have a traction brace coming for this car, and I really think that's going to really stiffen it up around corners and when launching. So that'll probably be maybe after the inlet pipe, my next install. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be so cool. And yeah, I think that is that as far as future plans for the Golf R. Everything is, pretty much, it could be subject to change. I still have a lot of reviews that I still have to do. I need to do a follow-up and a sound clip test on this Remus Exhaust. I need to obviously do the full harness for these Euro tails. So I have my work cut out for me for sure. A lot of content that I can do, and I'm really excited to just keep pumping out videos on this car, because I love this car. I love how it's a Golf. I love how I bought another Golf. It's been 1 year of absolute awesome ownership, and I can't be happy enough. By the way, before I end the video, I want everyone to know that DOS Driven merch is live. It's been live for about 2 months now, and I can't thank everyone enough for supporting me, purchasing merch. Again, if you guys purchase merch, send a picture, you pose it next to your car, or you guys wearing the merch, and that will be reposted on DOS Driven. I've been reposting a decent amount of photos, and I really can't thank you guys enough for supporting me, because by purchasing that merch obviously allows me to do more modifications and more things to the car for me to obviously create content for you. So anyway, thank you guys again for watching the video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.